A bottle of extra virgin olive oil was recalled this January because it wasn't olive oil at all. Tests showed it may have been filled with plain canola instead. It was a reminder that even something as ordinary as cooking oil can carry hidden risks. Cooking oils are in every American kitchen. They line our shelves, coat our pans, and flavor the meals we share. But behind the bright labels, problems have been uncovered. University labs found bottles mixed with cheaper seed oils. Lawsuits have challenged big brands for misleading claims. And in some cases, recalls have pulled products off shelves for safety concerns. Today, we're going to look at 5 brands that no kitchen should trust. These are bottles you may recognize, oils that promise quality but carry a different story. But don't worry, not every can or bottle lets you down. In fact, 2 stand out as safe, reliable picks. Stay with us until the end, because knowing which 5 to avoid and which 2 to keep could make all the difference. Where's Daniele First Cold Press Extra Virgin Olive Oil? As we mentioned above, that impure olive oil comes from a name that should have been safe. Daniele First Cold Press Extra Virgin Olive Oil carried a label promising purity, tradition, and health. Families trusted it. Shelves in New York carried large 3-liter tins with the familiar green and gold print. But in January of this year, a federal notice forced a recall. Why? Because the cans may not have contained olive oil at all. They may have been filled with ordinary canola oil. That is not a tiny slip-up. That is a slap in the face to anyone who poured it on bread into a skillet or over a fresh salad. People pay extra for olive oil because it is supposed to be different. It is supposed to protect the heart, to bring flavor, to carry a tradition thousands of years old. To discover that what you bought may have been something cheaper and stripped of those benefits feels like betrayal at the most basic level. The recall was labeled as voluntary, and officials called it a Class 3 action. That means the government did not expect the mislabeling to cause immediate physical harm. But the classification does not erase the reality. What was in the tin did not match the promise on the label. A family reaching for the bottle thought they were choosing extra virgin olive oil. Instead, they may have been served canola. And that mismatch is not only about flavor. It is about value, about trust, about being told the truth when you hand over hard-earned money. Daniele has built its name on imported foods, on a heritage image, on the idea that buyers are bringing something authentic into their kitchens. To see that name appear in a recall for mislabeling hits hard. It turns dinner into a guessing game. It forces loyal customers to wonder if other products are what they claim to be. Because once a seal of authenticity cracks, it does not patch over easily. Think about the chain of events here. A distributor orders cans labeled as premium extra virgin olive oil. They are shipped stocked and displayed. Shoppers pick them up in good faith. Only later does a federal notice reveal that the contents may have been nothing more than canola. That is not just one bad day at the factory. That is a system that failed at multiple points, and every failure landed squarely on the family table. What makes this case sting even more is the timing. It did not happen decades ago, when food fraud was harder to track. It happened right now, in 2025, in an era when every bottle can be tested, traced, and certified. Consumers have more information than ever, yet they still walked away with a mislabeled product in their pantries. That should not be possible in a market this modern. This recall is a warning shot. If a widely sold olive oil can be swapped with canola and only caught after it hits shelves, then trust in labels cannot be taken for granted. It proves that the danger is not limited to exotic imports or shady knockoffs. It can show up in a trusted brand in a familiar aisle at a store you visit every week. And that means the story does not stop here. Because if one oil can slip past the guardrails, there are other brands already waiting to do worse. 2 Great Value Avocado Oil. The first story may have made you think twice about olive oil. So you step back, take a break, and reach for something newer, something that feels fresh and trustworthy. Avocado oil. It is marketed as clean, as premium, as the healthy choice for a modern kitchen. For many families, it has become the go-to replacement. But here's the harder truth. Avocado oil is not always the safe haven it claims to be. In fact, in some cases, it may be even worse. Take Walmart's Great Value Avocado Oil. On the shelf, it looks like an upgrade. The label promises purity, a rich green fruit turned into a golden liquid. But when researchers at the University of California, Davis pulled bottles for testing, the results told a different story. What was sold as avocado oil often contained cheaper seed oils, instead soybean, sunflower, safflower. Some samples were so degraded that they had already gone rancid before shoppers even carried them home. Families thought they were serving heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. In reality, they may have been pouring spoiled filler over every meal. That is not a simple mix-up. That is profit engineering, plain and clear. Think of economics. Avocados are expensive to grow to harvest to press into oil. Soybean and sunflower are dirt cheap. By cutting or replacing avocado oil with seed oil, a company saves money at every stage. The product can be priced as premium, yet produced at the cost of a bargain filler. The margin grows, the shelves fill, and the shopper never knows the difference, at least not until a lab takes a closer look. The tragedy is not just in the substitution, it is in marketing. Every bottle of avocado oil is presented as a premium choice. The word avocado itself signals health, freshness, and natural living. Consumers see it as a step up from canola or corn oil, a sign that they are treating their bodies better. That is the irony. Because in the case of great value, the promise of premium masked a product that was sometimes cheaper and dirtier than the very oil shoppers were trying to avoid. The image of a better life was built on a formula of corner cutting. And here lies the deeper wound. Walmart's Great Value line is not an obscure label. It is the flagship of the country's largest retailer. Millions of households depend on it as the low-cost everyday standard. When even that trusted brand name allows adulterated oil to reach the market, the damage is not only chemical, it is cultural. It erodes confidence in the very act of choosing food for your family. It teaches consumers that no matter how carefully they read the label, they may still be misled. Avocado oil was sold as the bright answer, but in reality it carried a darker burden. The bottle itself became a symbol of how profit can outweigh purity. The premium choice turned into a hollow promise, and the families who poured it out over their dinner plates were left with more than rancid oil. They were left with the bitter taste of trust undone. 3 Kroger Private Selection Avocado Oil. Now take a moment and check your kitchen. Do you see a bottle marked Kroger Private Selection Avocado Oil? If the answer is yes, be careful. That bottle should not be trusted. It belongs in the same category as the ones you have already heard, about the kind that deserve to be put away, not poured. This is not gossip. It comes from research at the University of California, Davis, published in the Washington Post in August of 2024. Their team purchased bottles of private selection avocado oil from Kroger stores between 2020 and 2021. When the oil was tested, much of it did not match the promise on the front. Instead of pure avocado oil, the bottles often contained cheaper seed oils. Instead of quality, customers were left with something diluted and unworthy of the premium price. The disappointment was not only in the lab. Many customers had already left their complaints scattered online. Some said the taste was off, bitter or flat, unlike what they expected from a premium label. Others noted a strange smell, something closer to cheap vegetable oil than the rich, buttery flavor avocado oil should carry. These voices, ignored for years, were given proof when the UC Davis report made headlines. The science backed what shoppers had been saying all along. The consequences of consuming impure avocado oil are not minor. True avocado oil is rich in monounsaturated fats linked to heart health and stable at higher cooking temperatures. Cut that with seed oils and the benefits are erased. Instead of heart-friendly fat, you may be loading your body with oils high in unstable compounds prone to oxidation. Rancid oils go even further. Oxidation does not only change flavor, it produces harmful byproducts that burden the body, fueling inflammation and damaging cells. For older Americans already watching blood pressure, cholesterol, or inflammation, the risks are not theoretical. They are direct, measurable, and dangerous. And yet shoppers paid more for this. Kroger's private selection brand is designed to look premium. The label carries an aura of higher standards, a promise that this is a cut above the bargain basics. But the truth is colder. Customers were exploited. They were puppeteered by a system that dressed up cheaper filler as a premium choice. Behind the polished packaging, the formula was simple: charge more, deliver less. It is profit dressed as quality deception, wrapped in a familiar logo. What makes this more frightening is how invisible the deception can be. Most families cannot run chemical tests on their groceries. They cannot detect oxidation or adulteration by sight alone. The anomalies are hidden in plain view, and that is the scariest part. Shoppers are left to rely on trust, and that trust is being traded away for margin. When even premium store labels can slip in rancid, adulterated oil, the safest rule is simple: stay away at the very first sign of doubt. This is not about one brand or one batch. It is about a system where profit can hide in every bottle, and purity is left to chance. And if the bottle that was supposed to be private selection ends up exposing a public failure, what does that say about the rest still lining the shelves? Safeway or Organics avocado oil. A mother stands at the stove heating a pan for dinner. She pulls down a bottle of avocado oil from the shelf, its label stamped with the word organic. She trusts it. She believes she is doing the right thing for her family. Her husband and children wait at the table, hungry and expectant, ready for a meal that promises both flavor and health. But what pours into the pan is not what the bottle says. What should have been pure avocado oil may in fact be something cheaper, weaker, and already spoiling. Safeway's O Organics avocado oil was marketed as premium. The label carried the organic seal, the price stood higher than basic options, and the design implied quality. But tests showed otherwise. Bottles under that brand were cut with seed oils like safflower and sunflower. Some were rancid before they even reached shoppers' hands. Complaints had trickled in for years, buyers describing a bitter aftertaste, a sharp smell, or food that simply didn't taste right. Yet the bottles remained on shelves dressed in the language of health. The betrayal cuts deeper because of what organic is supposed to mean. For decades, shoppers turned to organic labels to escape additives, pesticides, and industrial shortcuts. They paid more for that seal, believing it guaranteed safety and honesty. But certification only covers how crops are grown. It does not protect against fraud after harvest. That is how an organic oil could still be diluted, still be rancid, still fail the basic test of truth in labeling. Now picture the scale. Safeway is one of the largest grocery chains in America. O Organics is its flagship health line. Think of how many households placed that bottle on their counters, poured it into their pans, and served it to their children. These families were not only robbed of value, they were exposed to risks they could not see or taste. Oxidized oils produce harmful byproducts. Adulterated blends erase the health benefits that drew shoppers in. The damage may never be visible on a plate, but it lingers all the same. So how can you protect yourself? Start with the basics. Check labels, carefully avoid bottles that list vague terms like blend or pure without specifying the oil. Look at packaging. Clear plastic bottles allow light to damage oil faster. Dark glass or metal is safer. Notice the price. If avocado oil is suspiciously cheap, it probably isn't real. Pay attention to taste and smell. True avocado oil should be buttery and fresh, not bitter or harsh. And most importantly, choose brands that carry third-party certifications or seals that verify purity. These are not perfect shields, but they are stronger than blind trust. The truth is harsh. Organic labels do not guarantee purity. Big brands can fail as easily as small ones. And every family that poured O Organics avocado oil into a pan thought they were buying protection, when in reality they were paying extra for betrayal. The strongest defense now is awareness. Because in today's market, safety does not come from a word on the label. It comes from knowing that purity must be earned, not assumed. 5. Mazola canola oil. The last one on our list is neither avocado nor olive, but it is just as concerning. What happens when the canola oil sitting in your pantry carries chemicals you never wanted to swallow? That is the hard question raised by Mazola canola oil. Mazola has been a household name for more than a century. Generations grew up seeing the bright yellow label, hearing commercials promise pure canola oil and better for your heart. Families trusted it as a simple, everyday staple. But court filings in 2022 revealed a different story. Lawsuits accuse Mazola of misleading customers by advertising 100% pure while relying on an industrial solvent called hexane to extract that oil from seeds. Hexane is not a kitchen ingredient. It is a petroleum byproduct most often used as a degreaser in factories or as a cleaning chemical. In oil production, it helps squeeze every drop of liquid from the crushed seeds. Trace amounts can remain in the finished product, and although the FDA allows it in small doses, the idea of pouring a petroleum solvent over dinner does not sit well with most families. Experts have long warned about exposure. The Centers for Disease Control has listed hexane as a chemical that can harm the nervous system with prolonged or repeated contact. Health advocates argue that even low levels in food are unacceptable, especially in products labeled pure. Consumers echoed those concerns in complaints and online forums. Some described the oil as having an odd aftertaste. Others said they felt tricked by the marketing, expecting something natural and clean, not something born out of chemical baths. The danger is not only in the chemistry, but in the trust gap. Pure should mean just that. No solvents, no tricks. Yet Mazola leaned on that word while relying on a process that left chemical fingerprints. Shoppers paid for heart health, but instead found themselves wondering whether every fry, every roast, every salad dressing carried an invisible risk. The consequences of hexane go beyond a bad label. Studies have linked chronic exposure to nerve damage, muscle weakness, headaches, and dizziness. While regulators argue the amounts in cooking oil are too low to cause harm, experts push back. They point out that older Americans already managing inflammation, heart concerns, or metabolic issues are more vulnerable. And because hexane is not tested in every bottle, no one can say with certainty how much might make it into a particular batch. That uncertainty alone makes the risk unacceptable for many families. Mazola is not a niche brand. It fills shelves across Walmart, Kroger, Target, Safeway, and countless other stores. That means millions of households could be swallowing a product they believed was safe, yet built on an industrial shortcut. And the lawsuits make one thing clear: this was not a misunderstanding. It was a business model. Profit comes from selling more oil at lower cost, no matter how it is pulled from the seed. And here we arrive at the dead end. Olive oils are vulnerable to mislabeling. Avocado oils are plagued by adulteration. And now canola oil carries the weight of chemicals like hexane. These bottles wait quietly in pantries, ready to slip into dinner plates without warning. The question left behind is stark. If even everyday oils can betray us, where can families turn to find trust? That is the question hanging heavy after olive, avocado, and canola have all shown their cracks. But the answer is not hopeless. Because hidden among the noise and deception, there are still bottles worth reaching for. Not every label is a trick. Not every promise is empty. A handful of companies have chosen a different path, investing in transparency and testing, in building trust the old-fashioned way, by delivering exactly what they say they will. These are the exceptions that prove the rule, the few brands that earn their place in your kitchen. And it matters. For all of us, every meal is a chance to protect the heart, to guard against inflammation, to make the body stronger instead of weaker. Choosing the right oil is not about luxury. It is about survival. So, as we turn the corner from 5 bottles you should never trust, let us lift the lid on 2 names that have stood their ground. 2 oils that have been tested, verified, and proven. Says CalPure Extra Virgin Avocado Oil. CalPure Extra Virgin Avocado Oil does not need defense. It has earned its praise. From the very first pressings in California, this oil has stood out as one of the few bottles that lives up to every word on its label. Families who have tried it describe a taste that is buttery and clean, fresh and smooth, with none of the bitterness or harsh edges often found in lesser oils. In kitchens across the country, it has gained a loyal following, not because of clever marketing, but because it delivers what it promises. Community reputation has been a pillar of CalPure's strength. Shoppers share their experiences online, praising the vibrant flavor that enhances roasted vegetables, grilled meats, and even simple dressings. Home cooks talk about how a drizzle of CalPure brightened a salad or made sautéed greens taste fresher. These voices matter because they reflect real kitchens, real families, and real trust built over time. CalPure's reviews are not hidden in advertisements. They live in testimonials from people who tasted the difference and came back for more. But the reputation goes beyond flavor. CalPure was one of the few avocado oils to pass rigorous testing at the University of California, Davis. In a market filled with blends and adulteration, CalPure came through clean, authentic, and true to its claim. That independent stamp has become part of its identity, a scientific backbone to the stories already told by families who use it. When experts confirm what consumers feel, the bond becomes stronger. And in CalPure's case, the bond has lasted for years. Part of the secret is transparency. CalPure has always emphasized sourcing and production. Grown and pressed in California, the oil is not shipped halfway around the world or bottled in mystery plants. It carries a traceable origin. Shoppers know where it comes from, how it is made, and why it tastes the way it does. That kind of openness is rare in today's food market, and it has set CalPure apart. Nutrition is another cornerstone. CalPure extra virgin avocado oil is rich in monounsaturated fats, celebrated for heart protection and stability under heat. For families who cook, often that stability matters. It means frying without smoke, roasting without breakdown, sautéing without worry. And for older Americans who are careful about inflammation, cholesterol, or blood pressure, CalPure has become more than just a cooking ingredient. It is a quiet partner in healthier living, a small but meaningful choice made day after day. The company's attention to detail has not gone unnoticed by chefs and health advocates. Professionals in the culinary community recommend CalPure for its clean profile and versatility. Nutritionists highlight its balance of flavor and health, often pointing to it as a safe and smart alternative to heavily refined oils. These endorsements add weight to the word-of-mouth reputation, proving that CalPure holds its ground in both home kitchens and expert circles. What shines most about CalPure is consistency. Year after year, bottle after bottle, it has delivered the same golden quality. No betrayals, no scandals. Just oil that tastes the way avocado oil should, pressed with care and offered with honesty. In a market that often clouds the truth, CalPure remains clear, steady, and reliable. And for families searching for one name they can trust, that clarity may be the brightest promise of all. 7 California Olive Ranch. California Olive Ranch has built its reputation not through clever slogans, but through results. Over the years, it has become the most awarded olive oil producer in the United States. From gold medals at international competitions to repeated recognition at the California State Fair. Its bottles have collected hundreds of honors that prove consistency and quality. Year after year, the name California Olive Ranch is called on stage, standing tall among the best in the world. But awards only tell part of the story. What truly matters is how this oil performs in kitchens. Chefs and home cooks alike praise it for flavor that is fresh, balanced, and versatile. Professional tastings have described it as buttery and mild, perfect for drizzling on salads or dipping bread, while still bold enough to bring character to roasted meats and vegetables. Everyday shoppers share the same sentiment. They talk about how every bottle tastes reliable, never flat, never bitter, never disappointing. That consistency has created loyalty, the kind of trust that grows stronger with each meal. Publications have highlighted California Olive Ranch as a standout, often calling it the rare olive oil that balances both quality and accessibility. It is affordable enough to use daily, yet fine enough to earn a place in cookbooks and restaurants. That dual identity has given it an unusual power. It belongs equally on a family dinner table and on a professional chef's counter. Very few brands can claim that. The company's focus on transparency reinforces its standing. Every bottle carries clear labeling with harvest dates and batch information, so buyers know exactly when and where the oil was pressed. The oils are verified by third-party certification and produced with a commitment to non-GMO farming. These steps may sound technical, but for families who want to trust what they pour into a pan, they mean peace of mind. Transparency is not a sales trick here. It is the foundation of the brand. And then there is the voice of the community. Families describe how California Olive Ranch brightened the simplest meals, from a drizzle over fresh tomatoes to the base of a homemade dressing. Some call it the closest thing to Mediterranean tradition made in America. Others say it has replaced imports entirely because the flavor and quality meet every expectation. Those words carry weight because they are unfiltered. They come from people who bought a bottle, opened it, and discovered the quality for themselves. California Olive Ranch has grown into more than a product. It is a signal that quality can be achieved at scale, that a bottle sold in stores across the country can still meet the highest standards. It shows that integrity is not lost even in a crowded and competitive market, and that may be its greatest achievement, proving that honesty, consistency, and excellence can live together in a bottle that sits on everyday shelves. For families searching for trust, California Olive Ranch shines as a beacon. Not because it shouts, but because it delivers quietly and faithfully every single time. Cooking oil may seem like a small thing, just another bottle on the shelf, another step in preparing dinner. But it is more than that. It is the foundation of every meal, a thread that ties together family tradition and health. And that is why the choice matters. Trust is not something that comes stamped on a label. It is something earned and something you have the power to protect. The companies you support should prove themselves with every drop they put in that bottle. Staying aware, paying attention, and choosing carefully are the quiet acts that keep your table safe. They are not grand gestures, but they are powerful. Because every time you pour oil into a pan, you are making a decision about what you believe and what you accept. Purity is not a promise to hope for. It is a standard worth demanding.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.